Welcome, I'm Sophie, and today we begin a powerful habit that will change the way you speak, listen, and even think in English. If you've ever felt your words slow down because you translate everything in your head, you're not alone and you're exactly in the right place. In this lesson, we will move from translating to thinking in English. We'll do it with simple daily habits you can use from the moment you finish this video. No magic, only small effective steps that add up fast. Get ready to train your mind and let English become a natural part of your day. Many learners study English for years and still feel slow in conversations. The reason is simple: you're translating. Your mind receives a thought in your native language, finds the matching English words, and only then speaks. That extra step takes time and makes your speech feel stiff or hesitant. Real fluency starts when ideas show up in English first, when your thoughts, images, and feelings are already in English before you speak. When that happens, speaking becomes faster. Listening becomes easier, and your confidence grows naturally. Think back to how you learned your first language as a child. You weren't translating. You saw scenes, heard words many times in different situations, and the meaning of words became direct in your mind. That same process can happen with English, no matter your age. The goal is to connect English words directly to things, actions, and feelings, not to your native language translations. Today, I'll show you the exact exercises to start building these connections. Start right now with a simple naming exercise. Look around the room you're in and move slowly with your eyes. See one object and name it in English. But don't stop at the single word. Make the sentence a little longer, so your brain practices ideas, not single words. For example, instead of thinking just chair, think, this chair is comfortable and I can sit here to work. Instead of table, think, the table is wooden and it holds my notebook and a cup of tea. Instead of window, think the window lets in bright light and I can see the street outside. Practice like this for 3 or 4 objects now. Say the longer sentence silently or out loud. The extra detail helps your brain link the word to an experience. Next, move from objects to actions. When you brush your teeth, don't only think brush teeth, expand the thought. I am brushing my teeth gently, and the mint taste feels fresh. When you open a door, think I opened the door carefully because the room behind it is dark. When you drink water, think I take a slow sip of water to refresh myself after working. These small additions, a verb, a reason, a feeling, teach your brain to form whole English thoughts instead of single translations. Now try describing what is happening around you in short, clear sentences. For example, if you are sitting at a table and drinking coffee, your mind can run. I am sitting at the kitchen table with a mug of hot coffee. The coffee smells rich and it warms my hands. If you practice this habit while doing daily activities, your brain will gradually prefer English descriptions. When you walk outside on a sunny day, make your thinking more vivid. I am walking down the street. The sun is warm on my face, and the breeze feels nice. There are people talking and bicycles passing by. The more detail you add, the stronger the connection between English words and real life becomes. Self-talk is one of the fastest ways to build thinking in English. Use English when you plan simple tasks. For example, when making a shopping list, think I need to buy milk and bread because I will make breakfast tomorrow. I also want to buy some fruit to make a salad. When you plan your day, think today, I will study English for 30 minutes. Then I will go for a short walk, and in the evening, I will call my friend. These short plans train your brain to use English for organizing thoughts and actions. Visual imagination amplifies this learning. Close your eyes and imagine a scene, the beach, a park, a coffee shop, and describe it in English. Picture the sand and think. The sand is soft under my feet, and the water sparkles in the sunlight. Imagine a cafe and think the coffee is strong. The music is soft, and I watch people smiling as they talk. When you pair images with English sentences, your memory strengthens because you are creating vivid mental links between meaning and language. Asking yourself questions in English is another powerful trick. Start with simple questions and answer them quickly in English in your mind. What time is it? It is 10 Sunjers. What am I doing now? I am studying English and practicing thinking in English. As you build confidence, ask longer questions. What did I do yesterday? Yesterday I visited my friend and we had a long conversation at a small restaurant. This internal Q&A simulates real conversation and makes spontaneous speaking much easier. Practice a short exercise with me. Now, pick a routine you often do. For example, getting ready in the morning. Think each step in full English sentences as you do them. I get out of bed. I put on my slippers. I make a cup of tea while the kettle is boiling. If you do this quietly or aloud for a full morning routine, you'll notice your thinking speed start to shift toward English. Repeat this every day for a week, and you'll feel the difference. When you practice, don't worry about mistakes. Early on, focus on fluency and comfort. The goal is to create an automatic pathway in your brain where thoughts form in English. Accuracy grammar and perfect vocabulary will improve naturally as you use the language more. If you don't know a precise word, describe it. It is the thing I use when it rains. It opens above my head. Your mind learns to communicate even with limited vocabulary. And that's a strong fluency skill. To expand vocabulary, actively play simple thinking games. Choose a letter and think of 10 words beginning with that letter. But do it in a sentence when possible. Book, I read a book about travel last night. Or pick a common object and describe everything about it. This smartphone is small. It fits in my hand. The screen is bright and I use it to listen to podcasts. These games keep your mind flexible and ready to produce English quickly. Finally, for this part, begin telling a tiny daily story in English each night. It can be just 3 or 4 sentences. Today I met my neighbor. We talked about the weather. I bought a small cake and felt happy. Over time, build the story longer. Add details, feelings, and reasons. Storytelling is one of the best ways to organize thoughts and move from single words to complex English thinking. Keep practicing these habits every day. Name objects in longer sentences, describe your actions. Imagine scenes, ask and answer questions in English, and tell short stories to yourself. In the next part, we will take these foundations into practical activities like listening without translation, using English media for faster thinking, and concrete drills to make thinking in English your default. Keep going. This first step you're taking right now is the start of a new natural way to use English. One of the most powerful ways to train your brain to think in English is through focused listening without translating. When you listen to English and immediately try to connect it to meaning pictures, emotions, actions, instead of to words in your native language, you build the same mental pathways that fluent speakers have. This skill takes practice, but it is worth the effort because it transforms your listening speed and understanding. Start small. Choose very short, clear audio clips, just 10 to 20 seconds long, from podcasts, audiobooks, or even scenes from TV shows. Play one clip and close your eyes while you listen. As you hear the words, picture them in your mind. If the speaker says the dog is running across the grass, imagine a dog moving quickly over bright green grass. If they say it's raining and I'm holding an umbrella, see the raindrops and feel yourself under the umbrella. This is direct listening. You're connecting English sound to meaning without going through translation. At first, you may notice your mind still tries to translate. That's normal. When you feel it happening, gently push your focus back to the images or feelings. You can even move your hands or body a little to act out what you hear, which helps anchor the meaning physically as well as mentally. The more you repeat this, the shorter the translation step becomes until it disappears. Gradually increase the length of your listening clips. Move from 20 seconds to 1 minute, then to 2 minutes. Keep the content slightly easier than your maximum level, so you can understand the general meaning without stopping. The goal here is fluency of thought, not studying every single word. If you miss a word, skip it and keep following the idea. Your brain will learn to fill in gaps naturally, which is an essential real-world skill. Another way to strengthen your thinking in English is shadowing speaking along with audio as you hear it. Choose a video or podcast with clear, slow speech. Play a sentence pause and repeat it, exactly matching the rhythm and pronunciation as closely as possible. Then try shadowing in real time, speaking at the same moment as the audio plays. At first, you might fall behind or miss words, but your brain will start to predict the next word and form it faster. This prediction is exactly how native speakers process language. To combine shadowing with thinking practice, don't just repeat mechanically. Imagine the scene or situation as you speak. If the audio says, "I'm walking to the bus stop because I'm late for work," picture yourself rushing to the bus stop. This keeps your mind active and engaged with meaning, not just sound. Reading can also be transformed into a thinking in English exercise. Many learners read English while silently translating each sentence. But you can train yourself to read and understand in English directly. Choose a short article story, or even a few paragraphs from a book. Read slowly and try to form the picture in your mind before you finish the sentence. If you read the sky was filled with orange and pink clouds, as the sun went down, stop and see the sky in your imagination. Link the image directly to the English words. This link bypasses your native language completely. You can also try narrative reading where you read aloud as if you are telling the story yourself. Use emotion and rhythm in your voice. When you reach dialogue, imagine you are the character speaking. This method not only improves your pronunciation and intonation, but also strengthens your ability to think in English because you are living the story through English. Another effective daily drill is describe and predict. While watching a video or listening to a conversation, pause after a sentence and describe what happened in your own words. Then try to predict what will happen next, still in English. For example, if you hear, "I forgot to bring my keys," you might predict she will call her roommate to open the door, or he will have to wait outside. This forces your brain to work with ideas and scenarios directly in English. To make practice more personal, combine English thinking with your hobbies and interests. If you like cooking, narrate each step as you prepare food. "I'm chopping the onions into small pieces." "I heat the pan before adding the oil." "Now I'm stirring the vegetables slowly." If you enjoy sports, describe a game you're watching or playing. "The player runs quickly down the field." "He passes the ball to his teammate." "The crowd is cheering loudly." Because the topics are interesting to you, your brain will remember the sentences more easily. Another tool you can use is English immersion moments. Pick short periods in your day, 5 or 10 minutes, when you decide that every single thought must be in English. It could be during your walk to school, your bus ride to work, or while cleaning your room. If you don't know a word, find a way to explain it using the words you do know. For example, if you don't know the word broom, you can think, "I am using the thing to clean the floor." It has a long handle and bristles at the end. These small challenges make you more creative and independent in English. You can also turn your phone into a thinking in English tool. Change your phone's language to English so that every time you check the time, set an alarm, or open an app, you're exposed to English words and phrases in context. When you get notifications, read them in English and think about what they mean. Even small things like reading low battery or meeting starts in 10 minutes contribute to your English environment. Finally, connect your thinking practice to real conversations whenever possible. If you learn a new phrase while thinking in English, use it in a message to a friend, in an online chat, or in a voice note. The moment you use a thought from your private practice, in a real interaction, your brain locks it in more deeply. It's the bridge from thinking alone to speaking naturally. By combining listening without translation, shadowing descriptive reading, predictive thinking, personal narration, immersion moments, and real-life usage, you're building a complete system. This system doesn't just improve your English, it changes the way your brain handles language. Instead of translating step by step, you'll find English thoughts forming naturally, ready to flow into speech. One of the keys to making your English thinking automatic is creating strong emotional connections to the language. The human brain remembers things that feel important, exciting, or funny, much more than things that feel boring or routine. This means you can supercharge your learning by attaching emotions to the English you practice. For example, when you learn a new phrase, don't just repeat it mechanically. Imagine a vivid, funny, or dramatic situation where you would use it. Let's say the phrase is, "I can't believe it." You could imagine finding a treasure chest in your backyard, or your best friend telling you they just won the lottery. See yourself in the moment, hear your voice saying, "I can't believe it," with surprise and excitement. The stronger the feeling, the stronger the memory, and the faster that phrase will come to mind in real conversations. Another method is to use personal storytelling. Take 5 minutes each day to tell yourself a short story about something that happened to you but in English. You could talk about your morning, a funny memory from school, or a problem you solved at work. Tell the story with feeling as if you're explaining it to a close friend. If you can speak out loud and use your hands to gesture. Gesturing while speaking in English helps connect the words to your body and emotions, making the language feel more natural. When you tell your stories, don't worry about perfect grammar. Focus on keeping your ideas flowing in English. If you forget a word, describe it. If you're not sure about a tense, just keep going. The goal is to build confidence in thinking and speaking without stopping. Later, you can review and correct yourself, but in the moment, fluency matters more than perfection. Music can also be a powerful tool for thinking in English. Choose songs with clear, understandable lyrics. Listen closely and try to picture the scenes described. Sing along matching the rhythm and melody. Then without music, try to sing the song in your own style, as if you're telling the story in the lyrics. Because music activates both language and emotion, it helps lock in vocabulary and phrases deeply in your mind. If you want to make music practice even more effective, rewrite the song lyrics in your own words while keeping the same melody. For example, if the original line is, "I'm walking alone in the night," you could change it to, "I'm running through the empty streets." This forces your brain to think creatively in English while still enjoying the rhythm and emotion of the song. Another advanced exercise is role switch thinking. Imagine yourself as different characters in different situations, all in English. One day, you might be a tour guide showing visitors around your city. You would think on your left you can see the oldest building in town. It was built over 200 years ago. The next day you could be a chef in a busy restaurant thinking, "Table 5 is waiting for their order. I need to prepare the pasta quickly." Switching roles keeps your practice varied and fun, and it pushes you to use vocabulary from many areas of life. You can also train your brain with what-if scenarios. Ask yourself questions like, what if I won a free trip to another country? Then answer in detail in English. If I won a free trip, I would visit Italy. I'd walk through the old streets of Rome, eat fresh pasta, and take pictures of the Colosseum. Or, what if my phone stopped working for a week? You could think, if my phone stopped working, I would borrow my friend's phone, write down important numbers, and spend more time reading books. This activity not only builds vocabulary, but also makes you think faster in English because you are creating ideas on the spot. For learners who want to push their speed, try timed thinking. Set a timer for 1 or 2 minutes. Pick a simple topic like my favorite food or what I did yesterday and think about it in English nonstop until the timer ends. Don't pause to search for perfect words. Just keep going. When the timer rings, stop and relax. This short burst of focused thinking trains your mind to handle English quickly, under gentle pressure, similar to real-life conversation. Another important skill is linking your thoughts smoothly. Many learners think in short, separate sentences, but fluent English uses connections between ideas. You can practice this by taking 2 or 3 short sentences and joining them with connectors like because, so, but, and or, which. For example, I woke up late. I missed the bus. Becomes, I woke up late so I missed the bus. Or she's very friendly. Everyone likes her. Becomes, she's very friendly, which is why everyone likes her. This helps your brain form longer, more natural sentences in English. You should also include listening and thinking practice in real-life environments whenever possible. If you're in a cafe and you hear someone speaking English, try to follow their conversation silently in your head. Imagine what you would say if you joined in. If you hear an English announcement at a train station or airport, repeat it silently in your mind. And imagine giving the same announcement yourself. Even if you're not speaking out loud, you are still strengthening your instant reaction in English. For learners without many English speakers, nearby online environments are a gift. Join free English speaking groups on social media or language exchange platforms. Even if you don't speak during every meeting, spend time listening, thinking of how you would respond, and then writing down your imagined answers afterwards. This bridges the gap between thinking privately and participating actively. A final exercise for this section is the second voice technique. Throughout your day, imagine there is a second voice in your head. Sophie's voice, perhaps narrating your actions in English. If you're brushing your teeth, the voice might say, "She's brushing her teeth and getting ready for bed." If you're cooking, it might say, "He's slicing the tomatoes and boiling water for pasta." This constant background narration builds automatic thinking because you're turning ordinary actions into English sentences without needing a conversation partner. By making your thinking practice emotional, personal, varied, and connected to daily life, you transform English from a subject you study into a living language you experience. And when your brain experiences English in this way every day, it becomes your natural tool for communication, not just an academic skill. Now that you've built a habit of emotional and situational thinking in English, it's time to add another powerful layer, combining thinking practice with real-world knowledge and curiosity. The more you connect English to the topics you care about, the faster your vocabulary and fluency grow, because your brain will want to return to those ideas again and again. One excellent method is to choose a daily curiosity topic. Every day, select one subject you're interested in. It could be a hobby, like photography, a scientific question like, "Why do whales sing?" or a practical skill like cooking pasta perfectly. Then, for 10 to 15 minutes, explore that topic in English. Read a short article, watch a brief video, or listen to a podcast. As you do, keep your thinking entirely in English. Ask yourself questions. Guess the answers before you hear them, and mentally summarize what you've learned. This habit builds both language and knowledge at the same time. When you're done, take 2 minutes to explain the topic to yourself out loud in English, as if you were teaching a friend. Don't worry about sounding perfect. The point is to strengthen the link between what you just learned and your ability to express it immediately. If you can try to answer questions about the topic, even if you have to invent the questions yourself. For example, if your topic was, "Why do whales sing?" you could ask, "Do all whales sing?" Or, "What does whale singing sound like?" and then answer in English based on what you know. A related exercise is the compare and connect method. Take something from your own culture or daily life and compare it to something from English-speaking culture. For example, if you love festivals, you might compare your country's biggest celebration to Christmas or Thanksgiving. Think about similarities, differences, and what you would explain to someone who had never experienced your tradition. This makes you practice not just describing things, but also building relationships between ideas, a skill native speakers use all the time. Next, let's talk about using mental imagery in more depth. In part 3, we discussed imagining situations for emotional connection. Now we'll expand that into visual journaling. At the end of each day, close your eyes and picture 3 moments from your day. Maybe you saw a beautiful sunset, had a delicious lunch, or met an old friend. As you see each moment in your mind, describe it in English: the colors, the smells, the sounds, the emotions. This is powerful because your brain naturally remembers images, and pairing them with English locks the language into your memory. You can also turn visual journaling into a creativity challenge. Change one detail in your memory and imagine how the scene would change. If you had lunch alone, picture it with a friend joining you. If it rained, imagine the sun shining. Then describe these changed scenes in English. This helps you practice conditionals and hypothetical situations, which are common in real conversations. For learners who want to test their quick thinking ability, try micro conversations with yourself. Set a timer for 30 seconds. Give yourself a prompt such as ordering coffee or asking for directions. Speak in English for the entire 30 seconds without stopping. When the timer ends, switch to a new prompt. This short, intense practice forces you to stay in English mode and trains your brain to respond instantly, which is exactly what happens in real life. Another technique that works extremely well is layered speaking. Start with a very simple sentence like, "I like apples." Then, in 3 or 4 steps, make it more complex. First, I like apples because they are sweet. Next, I like apples because they are sweet, and they remind me of my grandmother's garden. Finally, I like apples because they are sweet. They remind me of my grandmother's garden, and they give me energy during the day. This teaches you to expand your thoughts naturally and helps you think in richer, more expressive English. You should also practice switching perspectives. Describe the same situation from 2 different viewpoints. For example, imagine you're in a park. First, describe it as a visitor. The park is peaceful with children playing and birds singing. Then describe it as a gardener. I need to water the flowers and trim the hedges to keep the park looking beautiful. This encourages flexibility in your thinking and broadens your vocabulary. Story transformation is another fun way to strengthen your skills. Take a simple event from your life, like going to the market, and turn it into a dramatic, funny, or mysterious story. Instead of "I went to the market and bought vegetables," you could say, "I went to the market to buy vegetables. But suddenly a street musician started playing my favorite song, and I forgot all about shopping." By adding unexpected twists, you make your brain more engaged and your language more memorable. Listening practice can also be made more active. Instead of just hearing English, respond to it mentally. If you're watching a video, pause after every sentence and repeat it in your own words. If you hear a new phrase, think of a different situation where you could use it. If a character in a movie says, "I'm not ready for this," imagine 3 other scenarios where you might say the same thing. Maybe before giving a speech, before riding a roller coaster, or before meeting someone important. Finally, to make all of these exercises part of your daily life, Use the trigger system. A trigger is something that reminds you to practice English automatically. For example, every time you unlock your phone, you think of one English sentence about what you're doing. Every time you drink water, you describe the taste or temperature in English. Every time you open a door, you imagine telling someone where you're going in English. These small, frequent triggers turn your everyday routine into a continuous English environment. By combining curiosity imagery, perspective changes, and active listening, you not only expand your vocabulary, but also train your brain to connect ideas smoothly and creatively in English. And when you do this consistently, your ability to think, react, and express yourself in English becomes faster and more natural than you ever thought possible. Now that we've built a system for surrounding yourself with English in your daily life, let's push your skills to the next level by mastering two final techniques: proactive conversation mapping and emotional recall storytelling. These will not only improve your fluency, but also make your speech more confident and engaging, just like a native speaker's. Proactive conversation mapping is a method where you imagine a future conversation you might have and prepare it in advance. This isn't about memorizing scripts. It's about mentally rehearsing the flow of ideas. Let's say you know you'll be meeting a new colleague tomorrow. In your mind, walk through the conversation. Start with a greeting, ask about their background share, something about yourself, and respond to possible questions. As you map it out, think about different directions the conversation could take and prepare English sentences for each one. The key here is to practice flexibility so you're ready for surprises without feeling nervous. To make this exercise more dynamic, add forks to your conversation map moments where the dialogue could branch into 2 or 3 different topics. For example, if your colleague mentions traveling, you could ask about their favorite destination, share a travel story of your own, or discuss cultural differences. This keeps your mind sharp and adaptable. Over time, you'll notice that your real conversations start to feel easier because you've already trained your brain to navigate multiple paths. The second technique, emotional recall storytelling, builds on what we've practiced with imagery and daily reflection. Here, you deliberately choose a past event that had a strong emotional impact on you: joy, excitement, embarrassment, or even frustration, and retell it in English. When you do focus on the emotions as much as the events, use descriptive language. Instead of "I was happy," you could say, "A wave of joy rushed over me, and I couldn't stop smiling." Instead of "I was nervous," try "My hands were trembling and my heart was racing." This not only makes your storytelling more interesting, but also teaches you to use richer vocabulary naturally. If you want an extra challenge, practice telling the same emotional story in 3 different ways first, as if you were speaking to a close friend. Second, as if you were presenting to a formal audience. And third, as if you were writing a short dramatic scene for a movie. Each version will make you choose slightly different words and tone, which is exactly how you develop versatility in English. Another powerful tool for advanced fluency is context flipping. This is when you take a piece of English you already know and place it in a completely different setting. For example, if you've learned the phrase, "Can you help me with this?" in the context of asking for directions, try using it in a work setting, in a family conversation, or in a hobby like cooking. This forces your brain to see English as a flexible tool rather than fixed sentences. Now let's bring everything together in a daily practice routine that will keep you improving for months and years to come. Here's an example of a 20-minute daily plan you can follow. Minutes 1 to 3. Warm up with micro conversations. Choose 3 random topics and speak for 30 seconds on each without stopping. Minutes 4 to 7. Do a visual journal. Picture a scene from your day and describe it in detail, adding one what-if change to the scene. Minutes 8-12. Practice proactive conversation mapping for an event or meeting you might have soon. Minutes 13 to 17. Tell one emotional recall story, focusing on vivid descriptions and strong feelings. Minutes 18 to 20. Review 3 new words or phrases you've learned recently, and create 2 original sentences for each. If you follow this routine daily, you'll hit all the main areas of language development: quick thinking, imagery, planning, emotional connection, and vocabulary reinforcement. And because each activity is short, you'll stay engaged and motivated without feeling overwhelmed. To maintain your momentum, set small, specific goals each week. Instead of "I want to speak better English," try "This week I will use 3 new idioms in conversation," or "I will tell 1 story every day without switching to my native language." These goals give you clear targets and make it easy to measure your progress. It's also important to reward yourself for consistent effort. Learning a language is a long journey, and celebrating small wins keeps you motivated. After a week of daily practice, treat yourself to something you enjoy, maybe watching a movie in English without subtitles, cooking a recipe from an English website, or simply relaxing with your favorite English podcast. The reward reinforces the habit. Finally, remember that confidence grows from action. The more you practice thinking, speaking, and interacting in English, the less you'll worry about mistakes. In fact, mistakes are proof that you're pushing yourself into new territory. Every time you correct yourself or learn a better way to say something, you're building the skills that will carry you forward. You've now learned how to integrate English into your thoughts, your environment, your daily routine, and even your future plans. You've practiced connecting with emotions, creating mental images, preparing conversations, and telling stories that capture attention. These aren't just exercises, they are the habits of fluent, confident English speakers. If you commit to these habits, you won't just learn English, you'll live it. And when English becomes part of your life in this way, improvement is no longer something you hope for. It's something that happens naturally every single day. In the next video, we'll take everything you've learned here and apply it to real-world speaking challenges, so you can test your skills in situations that feel just like real life. We'll go through live conversation simulations, quick response games, and interactive role plays that will make you faster, more expressive, and ready for any English conversation that comes your way.